This is a massive game for the home side. It's Leeds versus Brighton. Leeds have got more than one leg in the trap door. Leeds are at plus 140 and it's a must-win game. Draw no bet for the away side is plus 110. Can you believe that? Brighton have been one of the form sides in the last 6 weeks, plus 190 on the back of beating Man United 4. It could have been 6. The draw is at plus 260. Under or over is at 2.5. Surely, Mark Stinchcombe, over 2.5 at minus 115 is guaranteed because Leeds, they've got to go forward. They're showing so much nervousness, if that's such a word, because they're making silly mistakes and their silly mistakes are ending in red cards.
Yeah, an awful lack of discipline. They set the record this week for the most ever cards in a Premier League season. They set the record against Leeds when Luke Ayling was sent off and others picked up cards. And then against Chelsea, they actually hit the century. So they've picked up over 100 cards this season in the Premier League, which is astonishing, really, with 2 games left to go. As I say, broke the record. And yeah, the lack of discipline is massively costing them. Their remaining game after this is I think it's away at Brentford. And yeah, I mean, don't know where the goals come from. And then that's further made worse by the fact that their players, they're picking up suspensions and they're having to rely on youngsters or fringe first team players that some of them don't look fit or maybe not ready for the fight, the battle. So there's absolutely no way you can back Leeds in this game or as favourites. You know, if Brighton's name was, I don't know, Leicester or West Ham, I think Brighton would be favourites here. I think that the name is kind of driving against Brighton a little bit, or maybe a bit of motivation, the fact that Brighton don't have anything to play for. But as we said during the week, when Everton were minus money away at Watford, nobody was backing Everton at those prices just because their name's Everton and they need to win, essentially. So, yeah, don't ever be fooled by the fact that you know, just because a team needs to win that you should bet on them. Don't ever fall into that trap. I wanted to try and do the same as did with the Leeds Chelsea game, basically side with the opposition, so oppose Leeds and look for goals. The only problem I have with Brighton, a bit similar to Chelsea, probably a lot worse though with Brighton, is I just find them difficult to trust. You know, we talk a lot about they play good football. We're full of praise for what Graham Potter's done and the way they play, etc. I think they just easily can let us down time and time again. I think they were, not so long ago, they went 7 games without scoring. That included a 0-0 against Norwich. So you just, in my mind, you just can't trust them. So I was looking for something pro Brighton, pro goals. But then, as you say, over 2.5 goals, just don't complicate it in my mind. As you say, Leeds are going to need to attack, and I think that's going to leave space for Brighton. And if you're Brighton, that, you know, as I say, we can't really trust them in front of goal. Surely we can trust them against this Leeds backline that will just give them tons and tons of space. McAllister's playing quite well, Trossard's playing well, and they're helping the burden really of Welbeck and Morpay that kind of it's been left to them to score the goals. So I think Brighton could score 3 themselves here, and the overs cops like that. But with over 2.5, I'm surprised the line's not set at 3, given that the jeopardy and the fact that Leeds will need to attack from the off, making it quite basketball-ish type of game in my mind. 18 of Leeds' last 22 games gone over 2.5 goals. Brighton's last 4 have gone over 2.5. I know we don't generally associate Brighton with an overs team, but I think we can ignore that when we come to this time of the season, when we know the goals rise in May, and also the fact that Leeds, it's imperative that they get 3 points here. Nothing less than that will be what they want, and I think they could malfunction again in front of probably a packed home crowd.
I'm looking at, and Brighton can finish 8th, or can go 8th with a win here. Brighton went to Wolves. Wolves are far, far superior to Leeds at this stage of the season. And Brighton crushed them. Then Man United go to the Amex, and Brighton were just so dominant. There's a few bets here I like, Marco, here. And first of all, the 190. The 190 is just, I cannot believe that it's not like plus 145, right? Then I've got draw no bet at plus money as well for a side that are not letting goals in but are scoring goals, and Brighton at plus 155 to score 2.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. This is my best bet from the Premier League this weekend, and probably for a while actually, but I'll be taking Brighton plus 110 in the handicap in the pick'em. For many, many reasons, which you guys already outlined. But to start with Leeds, they get Liam Cooper back in midweek, a big bonus to have him back playing at centre half. But then,
well, I agree, that's a big bonus for Brighton, to be honest.
well, he's better than what Leeds have already, and he is the captain. And Patrick Bamford's due back at some point. He's not going to be match fit, but he is due back this weekend, which is a big bonus. But you go and lose Dan James to suspension, as well as Luke Ayling. Jack Harrison goes off injured. He'll be missing. Rafinha, who is being played in sort of a right wing-back role when they played a five-man defence against Chelsea. He went off with cramps and he didn't look in a good way, so he's now got a couple of days to try and recover. Not ideal, really. And yeah, I mean, we talk about motivation, and I think if you look at those prices, it's just that Brighton's season is over, and that's far away from the truth in reality. Because if you listen to anything Brighton connected, it will tell you that Brighton are gunning for basically their best ever finish in the English leagues. They've never finished this high in a top flight campaign, and that's a huge badge of honour to try and aim towards. Not just the financial benefits it brings by finishing in the top half, but they're playing now with confidence. They're playing with swagger. They're playing with a real belief that they can go on and achieve that, and it's something quite historic for Brighton. And we've seen in recent weeks 4 wins in 6, 1 defeat in 7. The 1 defeat was against Man City. They also have the 4th best away record in the Premier League this season. They've lost just 4 times playing away from home all season, and only 3 teams have lost fewer away games. Only 4 teams have conceded fewer goals away from home. So this is a team that loves going on the road and playing teams. I just think, with those sort of stats in mind, they've lost 4 times all season to go to a Leeds team who are desperate, with huge selection problems and appalling ill discipline issues at the minute as well. Licking their wounds after 2 heavy defeats, the desperation involved, the momentum and motivation in the Brighton sort of ranks. I think it all comes together quite nicely to get plus money on the draw no bet. I think that really does appeal to me. I'm expecting my money back at worst.
I bet you are, and that's the other thing. We got to take acknowledgement here that Brighton have really turned their season round. They had 1 win in 9 through the mid part of the season, but we were saying they were playing so well, but we couldn't rely on them because they just weren't scoring goals. Now, I mean, some of their midfield and their runners, and he's full of energy. They've got players coming off the bench. I mean, Solly March, he's just because he ain't one of the big names. He does so much for the team, and that's what Brighton are. They are a team. They can go 8th. If they win and Wolves lose, they will go 8th in the league, which is amazing because I remember when they were like 17th or 16th. It's like they've really turned it around, and I agree.
I remember when they were in the 4th tier.
No, I mean this season.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, my first ever league goal as a professional footballer was against Brighton at the Goldstone ground. So let's not go back too far. Leeds, I've got tension. I've got nervousness. I've got all sorts of problems there. Brighton, I've got full of confidence, momentum, and the team have got, the opposition have got to come on to you. I think Brighton at plus 190 is massive. Let's have a little look at the official picks because I think we're all near enough on the same page. Over 2.5 at minus 115 from Stinch. That's because he thinks Brighton can score 3. Brighton draw no bet for me at plus 110 is an absolute giveaway unless Leeds really turn up and Brighton just flip-flops. If they play in flip-flops, that's it. Brighton draw no bet plus 110 for Marco here. Oblivion Sports, which is Eric from Ireland, plus 120 Leeds over 2.5 cards. Well, I tell you what, that's always one of those where you're closing the stable door after the horse is bolted because over 2.5 cards, that's just like 1 red for Leeds, which they've had in both of their last 2 games. All right, let's go.